This program is recorded and presented by Chippewa Valley Community Television. The audio for this program can be heard on WRFP LP 101.9 FM.
It's time to start the Waterways and Parks meeting. The first item is the approval of the minutes from the November 16th meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? I see none. Can we get a motion to approve the minutes in a second?
So moved.
Mr. Von Hayden
Second.
and Mr. Feedley. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We have a special event on the agenda, the New Year's Eve Light Up Eau Claire.
Good evening. For those of you who may not know who I am, my name is Dawn Compte. I'm the Recreation Manager for the City of Eau Claire. So I haven't been attending these meetings recently, so hello to all you new people. We are presenting to you a new event for the City of Eau Claire. It's called New Year's Eve Light Up Eau Claire, and it is scheduled to take place on December 31st, New Year's Eve. Part of it is we are a sister city with Lismore, Australia, and Lismore, Australia has this lantern parade. So Visit Eau Claire and a team of people have come up with this idea to kind of use that as a part of this event. So what they want to do is they want to have a little lantern parade early in the evening, and then an older big lantern parade at, I believe, 11 p.m. downtown. And then following that, they would like to have an 8 to 10 minute fireworks show as part of the gala. Details on the event can actually be answered more by our applicant, who is here, Linda John from Visit Eau Claire. She can answer any detailed questions you might have. With that, do you have any questions?
Are there any questions for Dawn before we turn it over to, Bob?
Just, Dawn, the funding for this is all handled outside of the city, right?
Yes, correct.
Any more? Thank you, Ms. Compte.
Okay. So just formal, I haven't done this before here. So we're looking for a recommendation from Waterways and Parks Commission to take this forward to council.
Are there any questions for Ms. John?
No, I'd like to hear.
Yes, okay.
Hello. Which one's live here? Hi, Linda John. I'm with Visit Eau Claire. Dawn's going to pass around just a little information packet for you. This has been a fun project. Kind of Susan McLeod's fault, actually. It started with the Good Life Study, which was a cultural assessment of a lot of the different cultural aspects of the Eau Claire area. And in that Good Life Study, which was released probably 4 or 5 years ago now, there was a tourism chapter. And Visit Eau Claire thought it'd be appropriate for us to adopt that tourism chapter and implement it. And so as part of that, we applied for a grant, a federal grant, the Institute of Museum and Library Services, and received funding to do a few key significant projects related to the development and celebration of our culture here, one of which was to create a signature event. And for a while we were kind of struggling with what that event might be, when that might be. We kept coming back to some of the typical summer events with food and water and all of that. Parallel to that discussion, we learned that there was a group wanting to put on a New Year's Eve party as part of a fundraiser for the Confluence Arts Center annual operating reserves. And so we thought maybe what we could do is blend in with that initiative and collaborate to make a larger event. So there's a gala being planned at the Lismore, which is not really this at all, but this event will kind of wrap around the gala that's at the Lismore and provide a variety of free and very affordable family and adult entertainment throughout the evening of New Year's Eve. And so, like as Dawn had mentioned, it's going to culminate with a lantern parade a nod to our sister city of Lismore, Australia, and grand finale of fireworks, an 8-minute fireworks show at midnight from the confluence of the rivers, Phoenix Park. What you have here is our overview flyer that's promoting the event, as well as a list of the key activities throughout the evening, and finally the map of the different venues that will be involved with this event. We are happy to present this inaugural event. There's lots of ways for people to be involved, both participating as guests, volunteering, and we're still securing sponsorships as well. So the funding, like I said, comes both from the Cultural Tourism Grant as well as sponsorships that we're securing and some of the admission fees for some of the various activities. Any questions?
Joshua?
Yeah, in the full description, it says there's going to be 2 viewing tents, one on the municipal ramp and one on the riverfront terrace ramp.
We
But
have
in the-
changed that.
Okay, in the map I only see one, so it's just the one on
Yeah,
the...
just the one this year.
Okay.
Yeah, at the riverfront terrace.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Susan?
So about 100 years ago, when the brainstorming about a signature event started, there was a long struggle about trying to place it in time. And I think Michael said at the time, you know, the time that we don't have things going on is not the summer, but the winter. That's the time that there's all kinds of blank space. So
Right.
I do know that this is called Light Up Eau Claire, and the bridge lighting project is called Light It Up Eau Claire. I don't know if that presents any problem, because presumably the bridge lighting project will be over by a year from now. But do you see that as possibly a problem?
We have had conversations with some of the same people involved with the bridge lighting project. In fact, we're talking to them about even becoming perhaps involved. We envision this to be the first of a long-term growing initiative. So I haven't heard any pushback on that, and in fact, I think it might blend really well with the kind of the future where things are going with lighting up our bridges. I kind of laugh and said with our little lantern parade, they're going to be walking over the Grand Avenue footbridge carrying little baton glow sticks. I go, that'll actually be our first bridge lighting with the children. So I haven't heard any feedback on that. If any of you do, I think it's something we could certainly take back, and a lot of our marketing is well underway right now, but we could talk about that. And to Susan's point about the timing of the event, Visit Eau Claire is solidly involved for a couple of reasons. One, because we care greatly about the success of the Confluence Arts Center, but also we envision this becoming a destination New Year's Eve event, that people are coming from more than just the Chippewa Valley to attend. They're coming from out of town, staying in hotels in the area. We took our inspiration from an event that takes place in Rockford, Illinois, Stroll on State. It's on Small Business Saturday, again, during a need time for them. And it was started by the Convention and Visitors Bureau, and in 4 years they're now bringing in over 60,000 people to that event each year. So we've taken our inspiration from them. We actually visited that event and participated in various ways with volunteering last year, and they're sending a team from Rockford to help us this year with our event as well. So it's kind of a neat component as well.
Meredith?
We were at the lighting the other day,
Yes.
and my son actually got lost. So I guess I just want to tell you,
Yeah.
because it's so dark
Yes.
and there are so many people, it's important that there's some type of infrastructure there for when kids might get lost.
Yes.
Because, I mean, it was literally like 2 seconds and he was gone.
Okay.
And I guess I'm also wondering, like, just because it's New Year's Eve, maybe is there going to be like an increased presence of police officers around just to make sure there's safety? I don't.
We haven't requested increased police services, but I do have a response to the other piece of it. Yeah.
As part of this event, they have not requested increased police services. There may be police helping with some ends of the parade where it's blocked off. But other than that, there could be, just because it's New Year's Eve in general in the city. I don't know that for sure.
To your other point, however, if you look on the grid of activities, the second row down, you'll see that Eau Claire Stream Media Stage. Visit Eau Claire has an Airstream trailer. I don't know if you've seen it, but it has a stage and an area. That's going to be sort of New Year's Eve Central. That's going to be where we distribute wristbands, volunteer packets, information. We're going to have a media presence there, interviews. And it literally is going to be just off of the outdoor patio of the Informalist. So that's going to be sort of the central location, and we'll have that staffed all night with volunteers. And so I think that piece of it will be helpful if people do need help with lost and found. And then the other thing is a big part of this early in the evening is centered around the Eau Claire Children's Museum. So those are sort of the main hubs for families.
Any more questions? Thomas?
How does a lantern parade differ from a parade?
Well, it's all pedestrian, so we're walking. The way that the Lismore Lantern Parade works is they make handmade lanterns, and so the Eau Claire Regional Arts Council and State Theaters have started to produce workshops. They had their first workshop already with handmade lanterns, so we're teaching people how to make them. We also have a website, lightupauclaire.com, and on that website there's instructions how to make your own lantern. And there's another component where we're having a contest for the best lantern. And so we hope that, and this happens in Lismore, Australia Parade, is that there will be some artists that get very creative with some elaborate lanterns as well. The Lantern Parade is free for anyone to participate in. You don't have to carry a lantern, but the whole idea is to light up Eau Claire by carrying a lantern. It's no flame. It's going to be the LED lights inside the lanterns, so very safe. Although in Lismore, Australia, they use open flame. We're not quite that brave.
Anybody else? Sounds fun.
Should be a great time. We hope that you're able to support this and come out and join us on December 31st.
Okay, thank you, Ms. John. Ms.
Yes.
County, did you have something to?
I just wanted to add that this event did come forth. Linda and her team brought it forth to our special events committee meeting, and that was unanimously approved to come forth to your attention.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on this? Can we get a recommendation to approve? A motion?
I move we
Second?
recommend that proceeds to City Council if that's the next step.
Yep,
I'll second it.
okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
For new business, we have some presentations by Dave Solberg. The first one on the Miracle Field development at Jeffers Park.
I think Mr. Qualls is
Oh, okay.
the first one, and I'll be up for the next two.
Okay.
Good evening. Thank you, Dave, for letting me pinch hit. I appreciate that. Just wanted to, the Myron Company is the general contractor for the Miracle League in overseeing all phases of construction on the project. The fall weather really gave them a good break as far as making progress with their development. They have since buttoned up for the construction for the winter, but I was out last week and I took a couple shots of what you see so far, and I'll try to explain what you're seeing in the photo as well. The subsurface of the field is actually asphalt, and that'll be covered with a rubberized poured in place playing surface next spring. But you can see this will actually be the field surface here. This is the promenade leading up to the field. This area that's boxed out would be dugout space. You can see the Jeffers Road softball fields in the background. This is the outfield of the Miracle Field looking back towards the roadway going into the park itself. My recent Malibu that just crashed a deer that my son was driving last night. I'm sorry. This is the area where the restroom will be proposed to go. You can see the concession stand, the existing concession stand back here, but they will have a restroom and storage facility in this area. They've got all the plumbing and electrical stubbed in at this point for that, and that'll be a precast building from the Huff Cut company in Halley. They'll be in production this winter and ready to go by spring. The scoreboard and electrical work and conduit has been trenched in. Most of the concrete promenade and walkways have been completed. The final phase of work is scheduled to restart as soon as the weather permits this coming spring, and they're tentatively planning a ribbon cutting ceremony the first week of June, given Mother Nature's cooperation. So if there's any questions, I could...
Are there any questions for
You with
Mr.
that?
Koala? Any comments, discussion? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. The next item is for the Barstow Street Bridge and there's some stream bank stabilization. These projects were bid earlier this year. They were approved by council. They're emergency and preemptive, I guess, in scope. Here's a picture of the Barstow Street Bridge, and at the time this picture was taken on Google Earth. You can see where the wall fell down that garnered so much attention. Well, when this bridge was built, there were buildings up to the corners of the bridge on both sides. A fire in the past took the buildings out on this location. So this bridge was built right up to the basements of the existing buildings. These buildings have since come down. The buildings here came down to make way for the Haymarket Landing building. And the area that was behind the bridge, this is the location where the buildings came down with the fire. This old basement kind of deteriorated seawall used to exist along the bank, and this is protecting the material that is behind the abutment of the bridge underneath Barstow Street. So what we are doing is constructing, now that this wall has failed on the other side, we are constructing what are called concrete wing walls. And if you can hold on for a second, I have a picture. I was going to try to print this out earlier, but my computer upstairs was not working, so I'll improvise. What we're doing is constructing wing walls, and one of them was constructed previously when there was the ability to do so on the Haymarket Landing side. So we're just constructing basically concrete walls that support the soil that was previously supported by this. Since the work is ongoing on a waterway, we felt it was prudent to inform this committee of work that was ongoing in that area. And the remaining portion for the stream bank stabilization is further to the east, adjacent to the last picture that I showed you. This is the remnants of the wall. And the wall used to extend up here. It has fallen down and is now lying in the Eau Claire River. So this will be cleaned up and it will be restored, and it will match the bank that is on the other side of the Eau Claire River with riprap and some topsoil and then native vegetation on top of that. So Haas and Sons is the contractor for it. We are waiting for permits from the DNR to do this work. The DNR issues separate permits for bank stabilization versus bridge repair. We have the permits for the bridge work, so that's why part of it has started already. And this will most likely take place in January. I would anticipate that we would have the permitting from the DNR. We're hoping the weather cooperates. If the weather does not cooperate, then this restoration work will be done in the spring when we're able to get in there.
Any questions for Mr. Solberg? Dave?
Mr. Solberg, the wing walls will all be done before the spring flooding will occur. Is that correct?
That's our hope. Yeah, we expect that the second wing wall one is completed. The wing wall here was completed when they were recently. You see all the fences come down on the sidewalk. We were able to get in there and get this one done. This here, we're hoping to get at next week, weather permitting. We're having a cold stretch, I'm not terribly concerned. If it isn't fixed by spring floods, it doesn't comfort me that it wouldn't be, but it's not something that we're sounding the alarms. If something were to happen and we were to have floodwaters up to here, we do have an idea in place on what we would do to help protect this if the project wasn't done, but we're anticipating that the project will be done before then.
Jason?
Some of the pictures included in the packet showed the north bank of the Eau Claire River with the little walkway down to the fishing spot. Is that going to be included on the south bank?
We are not including that. It's a canoe or kayak launch, is what that was intended for. This is just a straight riprap repair, and at some point in the future, when this is repaired, we would like to look at having a wall similar to what we have along First Avenue for the trail, and a wall would be located partially up on the bank, and then potentially have a trail that would go along the top of the bank, behind Hope Gospel Mission, under Farwell Street, behind the library, and then hook up on Dewey Street across from where the trail from the S Bridge would come. So we don't have funds for that now, but we do want to make sure that we protect our bridge and protect the bank here too, because there is parking right on top of this bank. It's in a private parking lot, but this isn't a situation that we should let linger.
Dave, when you do this restoration, are you going to impact the top of the bank at all, or will you encroach on the parking lot up there, or we have sufficient land to do the repairs without encroaching?
We have been working by the city, and particularly the city attorney's office, on a purchase or donation agreement for that land on the top of the bank. It requires 22 feet, moving the city property line back 22 feet. So it won't be a vertical wall like there was before, but it'll be at a 1.5 to 1 slope. So for every 1.5 it goes over, it goes up 1 foot. But yeah, it will push that top back slightly.
And you have now an agreement with landowner on that?
I haven't checked my email this afternoon. I know the attorneys were going back and forth for the final details. We have agreement in principle on it, but the fine details were still being worked out this morning when I checked. So we can't do the work until we come to agreement with the property owner.
Anybody else? Okay.
And the second item is the much talked about sanitary sewer siphon repair. That was discovered this summer, and trying to find a picture of that. Here's the approximate location. The trailhead building for Phoenix Park is here, RCU. The existing line comes from this point right here, about through the end here, and the new siphon line will start. We're replacing this manhole that was built in 1939, and the new line is going to be coming in this location. Even though this is an emergency, considered an emergency repair, we still had to go through the full permitting process to evaluate impacts to the river, as well as whenever we replace a siphon, it requires a sanitary sewer permit. So there's a number of permits that we needed to acquire. We needed to take sediment samples of the river to make sure that when we were digging the new one in, we weren't liberating potentially PCBs or heavy metals that could have been historical pollution. All the sediment came back clean and non-polluted. We received our permit to start doing work on the banks and remove the existing pipe on Monday. So work started Monday afternoon on it. Currently, if you drive out there, you'll see a backhoe and some material at this location, and then another area of construction directly across the river in this location here. And what contractors are doing are digging a pad down to the Eau Claire River, and our permit allows us to place washed riprap out into the water to create platforms to have the backhoe sitting on when they're lowering the pipes in. So we'll actually be constructing some aggregate, it'll be the blue riprap pads out into the water at this location and at this location here, and those will facilitate backhoes that will be then lowering the new siphon line that will cross in this location here. They'll first dig a trench that is approximately 4 feet deep by 4 feet or so wide in the river bottom. They'll place the new sanitary sewer lines in, which are essentially just water main. They're ductile iron. There'll be 2 of those, like there are currently, 12 inches in diameter. Then it will be filled up with pea gravel, and then riprap will be placed over the top to protect it in the future. We have the permits to start doing the work on the banks and to remove the siphon lines, the broken siphon lines. The new siphon lines will, we're expecting the final permit for that today or tomorrow. It should arrive. Once we have that, then we are cleared to actually place the new lines in the water. Like I said, work started on Monday for this, and we expect it, weather permitting, and if there is no delays in material deliveries by the end of December, we're hoping to have it wrapped up. So it's approximately $350,000 contract to do this repair work. Haas and Sons, again, is the contractor for this project also. And some people have asked why the delay when we found this in August. Why are we just getting at it in December? But to make sure that we had all of our permits and followed all of the applicable rules, even though it was an emergency repair, it was still a pretty standard permitting period. And that's what we've been working through, trying to make sure that the DNR is comfortable that we're not damaging the Eau Claire River and the natural environment any more than we have to do this work. So.
Okay.
Then I'll take any questions if people have any.
Jason?
Does the contractor whose barge got away and broke the previous pipeline have any liability for this?
Our legal department and their legal department and 2 insurance companies are just getting started establishing that. We felt it was prudent to make sure that this siphon line is repaired so we can remove the existing piping that you see going up and around.
Yeah.
If it gets cold, I don't have a high degree of confidence with that piping not being problematic later. So we're fixing first and then assessing blame second for it.
Okay. Susan?
Then when, I'm assuming there's no decision or recommendation that we have to make. This is just a report to us?
We wanted to, again, since this is in a waterway, even though it won't be seen or there won't be evidence of it this time next year, we felt it was prudent that this body was made aware of the activities that are starting to occur along this waterway.
Okay, so then the pads that you're making to support the construction equipment, then they'll be removed?
Yeah, our DNR permit requires that basically everything you see out there is restored to the existing condition before we started, so that all of that material will be removed from the Eau Claire River. The only thing that will be different is where the existing siphon lines are in the river. There's a slight hole, and there'll be another hole when we remove those, approximately 2 feet, not significantly deep. The DNR has chosen to allow that to silt in rather than have us bring material in to bring that up to the bank grade, but you won't be able to see that anyway. Otherwise, all the vegetation, the riprap, the manholes will be in the same spot. Everything this time next year should appear like it looked last Friday before any work started.
And one of the things that was really disturbing about this was it took a long time to determine that sewage was pouring into the river.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything about this particular plan that would make it, allow something like that to be found more quickly?
Previously, the state, the NR codes that govern siphon lines required inspection, I believe, every 2 or 3 years, and we had been doing it yearly. We had been exceeding that, but our permit to do the work on this now includes monthly inspection of that manhole by the DNR. So they're imposing, a requirement 24 or 36 times more frequently than NR code to verify in the downstream manhole that the flow is still continuing through. With the ductile iron pipe that we have and it being buried, in the lack of work that would involve a barge on the river, I would say that the chances of this happening again is extremely low.
Thanks.
So, but that is something that the DNR was interested in.
David?
Perhaps you said this, but when do you expect it to be complete?
We're hoping weather permitting, and if there's not a delay in the replacement pipes coming from the fabricator by the end of the year. So the 30th is what we're targeting.
Okay.
Anyone else? Thank you, Mr.
Thanks.
Solberg. Special events. Are there any questions on any of the special events list? How about the director's report? Oh,
Since there's no questions, I'm wondering if you'll indulge me while I just give you a quick plug on the Clearwater Winter Parade and Family Event, which is taking place a week from Saturday, December 17th. We have a parade at 5, starting on Grand Avenue and going down First Avenue. And then we have an event, a family event at Hobbs Ice Center from 6 to 8 p.m. So we're hoping that maybe people from here would like to attend. It depends on weather. It's going to be cold this year. But we will see anywhere from probably 8,000 to 15,000 people watching the parade. And then at Hobbs, we get about 2,500 that come to skate and do activities and games. So it's really a cool event, and we hope to see you there.
good. Thank you, Ms. County. Susan?
Can I ask Dawn a question? Just in general about the schedule of events. So I noticed that some events, like all the way back to the first event of the year, there's no actual attendance filled in, and many of the events, they are filled in. So I think it's important that people actually provide the information, because if it's significantly fewer people than expected, then that would change your plan. And if it was significantly more, that would also change your plan. So I wonder if you've ever given any thought to, before you get another permit for your subsequent event, that you have to have all reports provided. I just thought that might be a way to persuade people to be sure that they had that information.
Right, I think we're in a position where we certainly can recommend that. We can ask the groups. I do that when I schedule our facilities, our athletic facilities, and many times they just don't send it in. We can't really make them necessarily send it in, but we certainly can ask and encourage it, and we can maybe put that on the spreadsheet and fill in when we do get those numbers. And we do send out surveys also to the groups, so maybe we can put that as part of that even, possibly. Would that work for you?
I mean, if somebody's having twice as many as they said, I think that would change some of your reaction to it. And if they're
Right.
not having nearly as many, maybe there are other things they are saying about their event, and it doesn't measure up to those
Right.
plans. So.
Right, and just know that, you know, like ours, events can fluctuate due to weather and other activities in the community too. You know, we see that a lot too, and sometimes you really wouldn't see that if you saw a listing of numbers, you know, without that detail sometimes. But certainly we can ask for that information.
David, did you have a question?
I have a friendly suggestion, a promotional suggestion for the parade on the 17th, right? So it's commencement at the university that day.
Yes.
And the parade follows that. I mean, sort of, it's after the commencements are done. And there are some families I know that stay through the weekend, right? They book hotels, you know, including for Saturday night. So having flyers, information at the local hotels and motels for families that might be in town that weekend. It's a nice Eau Claire event to give people a sense for the community.
Okay, that's a great suggestion. We can certainly make a few extras and disperse them at a few locations probably.
Downtown hotels and Holiday Inns.
Absolutely, thank you.
Susan? No? Okay. Anything else on special events? Director's report? Are there any questions on anything in the director's report? Todd, are you going to handle the director's report from now on?
Sure.
Okay.
At least until there's a director. If there's any questions on our director's report, I'd be happy to entertain them.
Okay. You got up here for nothing, it looks
That's
like.
okay. That's all right.
That's the last item on the agenda. If someone wants to make a motion to adjourn, a second. Mr. Klinkhammer, and a second.
Second.
Bob, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any
Thank you,
opposed?
everybody.
Thank you, Todd.
This program was recorded and presented by Chippewa Valley Community Television. Chippewa Valley Community Television is made possible by continuing community support. If you would like to volunteer or make a donation, you can contact us by calling 715-839-5067 or on the web at www.cvctv.org.